Virginia, we won this thing! Together, we will change the trajectory of this Commonwealth. And friends, we are going to start that transformation on day one.
Oh, pretty amazing. An impactful night, to say the least, on Newsmax, by the way, the first of the four major networks to call that race for Glenn Youngkin last night. Good morning. Welcome back to the show. I'm joined by Youngkin campaign advisor Rick Gates. Glenn Youngkin shocking Democrats across the country last night, winning a very tight race against Terry McAuliffe in the Virginia governor's race. Joining us now for more on how this happened is Virginia Congressman and Vice-Ranking Member of the House Armed Services Committee, Rob Wittman. Congressman, good to see you. Quite a morning. As you see it, how did this happen? What was the key to Glenn Youngkin's win?
Well, Rob, Glenn was really able to capture, I think, people's frustration with what they saw happening in their schools, with an economy that was really floundering in Virginia, and with the lack of support for law enforcement, which resulted in higher crime rates. Glenn was actually able to capture not only that level of frustration, but he was also able to create a vision in people's minds about what would the path forward be? What would he do to empower parents? What would he do as a business person to lift up the Virginia economy? And what would he do to work with law enforcement and communities to do more to address crime? He was, I think, very effective in creating that vision. And he's very personable, too. You know, I think people look at a governor just like their next door neighbor. And that is, do they trust them? Do they feel comfortable? Do they feel connected? And Glenn did all of those things. Very effective on the policies, but very personable, and someone that Virginians they could trust.
Congressman, last night was a historic night for Virginia. I wanted to ask you something that's not getting as much attention is that the Republicans were able to also take back the House of Delegates. Given that they've lost, several of those key races over the last couple of years, how do you think the Republican Party of Virginia can take this momentum and move it forward into the midterms in 2020 and beyond?
Well, I think what they have to do in Virginia is to make sure they use what the voters have told them they want to be done. That is issues on education, the economy, public safety, and use that as the platform to actually create the change in Virginia, which I think will be the segue to what needs to happen across the nation. I was talking with some folks last night about what does this mean for Republicans in the House and the Senate in Washington, and we all believe that this is the bellwether for what we need to do going forward, and that what happened in Virginia and in turn what's happening in New Jersey will inform what Republicans do in the coming year as we lead up to the midterm elections in 22.
Yeah, you make a great point. So I look back at this. Bill Clinton's first year, he's elected in 92. 1993, the off-year cycle, Republicans win the governor's races in both Virginia and in New Jersey. And, of course, that set up that red wave. Newt Gingrich led that back in 1994. Republicans retook the House for the first time in 40-plus years. Do you think we're on that same trajectory right now as we head into 2022?
I do. If you look back to 2009 when Bob McDonnell won the governor's race, and then in 2010, the record number of seats that Republicans captured, I think you see the same sort of conditions building now. The key for Republicans is to make sure we build upon this momentum, make sure we understand what voters want us to do, and understand, too, that where voters see the Biden administration, where the voters see Democrats, is not in a good place. And they actually now see Republicans doing better jobs on the issues that are important to them, things like immigration, inflation, national security. We should be able to build on those things and make sure we create the vision, and that is the counter to what the Democrats are doing in the House and Senate as we see those things happening before us now, especially with what's happening with this reconciliation bill and this massive amount of spending. People are concerned about that. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to build on the victory here in Virginia and then use that going forward to win back the House and hopefully win Senate seats and win back the majority in the Senate in 2022.
Yeah, impactful, quite a night. And by the way, the lieutenant governor there, Winsome Sears,
Yes.
I don't know if you heard that speech last night, but I thought it was delivered so well. She was so eloquent, and that's a sort of a sub-story here about this great day for Republicans in the state of Virginia. Congressman Rob Wittman, good to see you. Come back and see us soon. We appreciate you joining us yet again as we cover this historic news out of the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, I should say. Yeah, thank you, Congressman.
Thanks so much, Rob. Thanks, Rick.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.